It's Chris and Company with Sacramento's Chris Watkins
on Sactown Sports.
Welcome in to Happy Friday, the Friday edition of Chris and Company. My name is Chris Watkins. For all of you tuning in on the YouTube stream, as you can see, I am recording from my home. I am not at the KHTK studios. But, hopefully the show, we're hoping we don't run into any technical difficulties, so bear with us if we do. But I think everything should be solid here. Excited to be coming to you all day after the Sacramento Kings pull out a huge victory on national TV over the New York Knicks, 122-117. Kings get the win last night. The crowd, Golden One Center, was electric last night. Good stuff from the Sacramento Kings. And great stuff from the Kings, head of the snake, De'Aaron Fox last night. Absolutely stepped up when his team needed it most. Game tied at 96. Knicks make a huge run to come back. And we all know, fourth quarter, Sacramento Kings need buckets. We know where they're going. And last night, De'Aaron Fox put on a display for everybody in the country to see. Tied at 96. De'Aaron Fox says it's me time. Goes on a 7-0 run himself. Hits a three to respond to the game being tied. That was huge moment for him, especially not being known as a knockdown shooter at all. For him to calmly in that moment knock down that three, I thought was massive. Just hitting that shot, I thought was massive. Then what does he do? He comes down the next possession. Oh my gosh, and throws down a huge he had two nasty dunks last night. Comes down, throws down the dunk, and then what does he do on the next possession? Oh, maybe the prettiest of them all. Crosses over Josh Hart, gets to the rim, goes up against Hartenstein, draws the and one, and I don't even think it was an and one. It was just a contested layup at the rim, contorting his body around. We've seen him do that so many times this year. His body control is just otherworldly, man. It just feels like De'Aaron Fox took his game to another level in that fourth quarter. And the thing that I love to see, something we've seen a little bit out of De'Aaron, but it really felt like last night he took it to another level. That man was talking that talk. It seemed like especially after that dunk and after that tough finish, he was jawing at the Knicks bench. In the post-game press conference, he said he was just talking to his old AAU teammate Quentin Grimes, but it looked like De'Aaron was letting the whole New York bench know, and also everybody watching at home know he does that stuff on a routine basis. This is what he does for this team. And it was just a quintessential De'Aaron Fox night. The Knicks really had no answer for him. You could really tell in that game when De'Aaron Fox turned it on in that fourth quarter, the Knicks just had no answer for him. They didn't know how to, and to the Knicks' credit, not many people do have an answer for him, but it felt like a flip definitely switched. And when that switch was flipped, De'Aaron was just, he was unstoppable. And Mike Brown said post-game, he thinks De'Aaron, if he can sustain that and if he can clean up some of the little stuff in his game, De'Aaron can be elite, like in the same conversation as those huge, massive stars that we talk about in this league. And De'Aaron showed that last night. I mean, that was one heck of a showcase for De'Aaron. The only thing that that would have made it even sweeter, and it does kind of suck, that Jalen Brunson didn't get to play that second half, because Jalen Brunson is as well an incredibly clutch scorer in this league and is probably second, or at least in the race for that Jerry West clutch player of the year. I think it would have been pretty cool to see De'Aaron and Jalen Brunson go back and forth in that fourth quarter. That would have been, that just would have taken that game to a whole nother level. But, you know, nonetheless, De'Aaron took care of business, got it done, and was an absolute star in that fourth quarter. It was really incredible to see, and it was great for the nation to see that this is that guy, and he can be every bit as good, especially in the clutch, as any player you can name in this league. And it just feels like his shots, he said it post game, it just feels like his shots go in the fourth quarter. It's not even really like he's doing anything much different. I think, to tweak that and add my own personal opinion in it, I definitely do think, and De'Aaron has been criticized. No, I wouldn't say criticized, but I think his teammates have mentioned to him, like, what you do in the fourth is incredible, but it would also be awesome if we could have that same intensity for in the first half as well, in the first quarter, in the second quarter, in the third quarter. Can you keep that same level of intensity? And I think that's just the next development in De'Aaron's game, is doing that for the entire game, because I don't think he has to do that for 48 minutes, but can he dominate in pockets of games? I think that's the next level of evolution for De'Aaron Fox's offensive game as well. But the Knicks, credit to the Knicks. That game last night was the Kings were playing some great basketball in that first half. And you could really tell when the Knicks were at their best and when they were able to keep the game close. It was when they were crashing the offensive glass. And that's no surprise to anybody who watched the game. I mean, if you watch that game, the offensive rebounding was incredibly clear. It was very evident that the Knicks were just killing the Kings on the offensive glass. The Knicks ended up winning that offensive rebound battle last night 23-6. They out rebounded the Kings on the offensive glass 23-6. 23 offensive rebounds is absolutely absurd. That is crazy. And Mike Brown was furious after the game. We'll talk about that in the next segment, but Mike Brown could not handle his emotions after that game. He was so frustrated with his team, and it's a really, I think, no, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next segment. But for the Knicks to get that many rebounds, that's their game, is to get offensive rebounds and win the possession battle. That it's not pretty. The Knicks are, I said it yesterday on yesterday's show, that the Knicks in their past 10 games have the second highest offensive rating, only behind the Kings. And that's because of exactly what they did last night. It's not pretty. The Knicks do not play pretty. A lot of isolation. It's a lot of quick shots. But what they do bank on is guys like Josh Hart, guys like Isaiah Hartenstein crashing the offensive glass, and they win the possession battle. The New York Knicks last night took 17 more shots than the Kings. That is crazy. You're not going to win most of your games when you're outshot by that much. That's a lot more possessions. Second chance points. It's not a recipe for success. And heading into last night, again, like, that's how the Knicks win games. They were 32-11 heading into last night's game when out rebounding opponents. 32-11. Now 32-12. But that's how the Knicks play. And the Kings fell right into their trap. It felt like, right before halftime, when the Kings extended the lead out and made their run, it was because they were crashing the offensive glass. I think Keegan Murray came out in that first quarter with a great level of intensity. We saw him get a pin block on RJ Barrett in that first quarter. He came out on fire. And then it just didn't feel like they had that same kind of level of, attention to detail as the game progressed. And they paid for it. They absolutely paid for it. But that Kings bench last night in that first half also, I need to mention Trey Lyles and Malik Monk in that first half were absolutely incredible. Combined for 30 points between the two in that first half. Malik had 17 points in that first half. He was incredible. It was very reminiscent of the first TNT game of the season when obviously Terrence Davis had his 30-point performance. The Kings had 83 bench points in that first TNT game this season. And the bench was a huge part of this win last night. Trey Lyles had a great game. Great game. Oh, guys, Trey Lyles. Don't get me started on Trey Lyles. He's been incredible. It's Kevin Lyles. It is Kevin Lyles. Thank you. I see Scooter916 in the comments did say it's Kevin Lyles. That is true. I didn't get to rewatch the broadcast, but I did hear that the TNT broadcast called Trey Kevin, which is fitting. Didn't that happen last time too? Didn't if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure TNT got one of our players' names wrong last time as well. But yeah, it was a great team performance last night. I'm actually kind of glad that the Knicks made it close because I think that ending was just so it was a great atmosphere. And it would have been a shame if the Kings, it wouldn't have been a shame, but if the Kings would have won by 20 or won it handily, I think it just wouldn't have been as fun. And it's good that the Kings were able to pull it out. They never officially lost the lead, got tied at 96, but the Kings led for pretty much wire to wire in that game. And that's what you wanted to see. That is what you wanted to see from the Kings team. They found a little bit of adversity, just a little bit. I think, again, if Brunson plays that second half, maybe this team really, would have found themselves down and having to really answer some things that they're doing poorly, because I do think that's been another common trend with this team is that when their offense is humming and things are going well, they kind of forget about the little things because, it just isn't as amplified when their offense is covering up for a lot of mistakes. So, it was good to see the Kings find a little bit of adversity and be able to climb out of it and still get the win last night. That was very good to see. And again, much like that first TNT game, the Kings had 7 players. 7 of their players finish in double-figure scoring. Something about national TV just brings it out of these guys. All right, let's get into it. I mentioned Mike Brown was not happy with his team's performance last night. We'll talk about that right here on Chris and Company next on Sactown Sports 1140 and SactownSports.com.
You wanted more Niners? Sactown Sports
track where they push tires to the limit. Great traction and a comfortable ride? Use the results to make an informed choice. They sell only the best, like the full line of Goodyear tires. Go to TireRack.com/Colin. See for yourself. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. This show's sponsored by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process. Therapy's all about deepening that self-awareness because sometimes you don't know what you really want until you talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit BetterHelp.com/herd today and get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/herd.
Live and local, it's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Welcome back, I should say, to Chris and Company on this wonderful Friday. Had some rough weather in Sacramento last night, but stepped outside this morning and saw some beautiful clouds, nice little blue sky. Can't complain. Heading into the weekend, hopefully this rain subsides. I am not a rain guy at all. Like, I understand California, we're routinely in droughts. We need this rain, but I cannot say that I am a fan of this rain, and hoping that it doesn't last for too much longer. But it does seem like we're going to find some more rain coming later this week, and that'll be it for that's your Sactown Sports 1140 weather update. I mentioned Mike Brown was not happy with his team's performance last night, despite the Kings pulling out the victory, and it made sense. It was a real. I should mention this also. So how it works for post game press conferences. Typically, the coach is supposed to come out first, and then the two players go up. Or I'm sorry, then it's one player and then another player after. Last night, I believe since it was a TNT game, this is why they did it. They brought out Malik and De'Aaron together to do their post game press conference first. And I mentioned this on my Twitter account. You can go, how about this? I'll plug my Twitter. You can follow me at Chris M. Watkins. I put out that De'Aaron was in quite a cheeky is how I would describe it, a cheeky mood. Definitely seemed like he he was just having fun out there. He was definitely feeling himself a little bit, and feeling good about the team's win. And he was just cheery, very, very jovial. And him and Malik had a lot of fun out there. You can see, you can watch their press conference on the Kings YouTube channel. But in a stark comparison, immediately after, and even as they're walking out, De'Aaron and Malik are joking around with each other. So they walk out of the press room, and then in comes Mike Brown. And here's what Mike Brown had to say as he walked into that press room. No. All right. I didn't hear it. I don't know if it's playing and I just can't hear it, but Mike Brown was not happy.
We got it right here.
Oh, okay. I was like, I called.
It's a good win. Our guys found a way to get the win, but we were not good. I was extremely disappointed in our inability to box out, let alone rebound. Josh Hart just kicked our ass. He kicked our ass. Nobody put a body on him the entire night. I thought their physicality was great because it made us go one-on-one quite a bit throughout the course of the game and made us take difficult shots. I thought we didn't get a chance to get out in transition, because we couldn't come up with the rebound to get out the run and put pressure on them, so they had us playing a slow, walk it up paced game. And they were the ones that got out in transition. They outscored us 23-7. I mean, you could tell I'm a little frustrated. It's a great win. You take wins at this time of the year, but that's not how we should be playing basketball, which you guys saw tonight. I am not happy with our performance at all, except for the fact that we got the win. Somehow, some way, we have to be better throughout the course of the ball game. I'm going to put pressure on Domas and Foxy. They have to hold themselves to an elite level on every possession, but just as importantly, they got to open their mouths and hold their teammates to a high standard, because that ain't going to fly. Give the Knicks a lot of credit. Good ball club. Tibbs done a heck of a job with them. They're physical. They try to play the game the right way. You feel them throughout the course of the game. We're taking this win, but we got to be better. And it starts with Domas and Foxy. They got to open their mouths, and they got to challenge their teammates to perform each possession at an elite level. But they have to do it themselves on both ends of the floor.
There you have it. That was Mike Brown after a win, ladies and gentlemen. I think that should be noted, that Mike Brown just, and I love that. I love to hear that. I love to hear that Mike is process oriented. It's not about the result. every time. Sometimes it is about how you get it done. And you can learn just as much in a loss as you can in a win, but it's great to hear that they are taking this win and not just counting it as a win. Like there's real things that they can learn and get better at. Just because they managed to pull it out doesn't mean that they played perfectly. And I think everybody can clearly acknowledge that, especially when you consider the woes of the offensive rebounding or allowing the offensive rebounds. I mean, yeah, there's so much from that you can take. I mean, the fact that he is calling on De'Aaron and Domas to step up verbally, I think that's huge. And Mike's been talking about that for a while now, but I think he's putting more emphasis on it now that we're heading towards the stretch of this season, where guys are going to naturally tune out their coach after hearing the same message over and over and over again all year. It's got to be on the team's 2 stars to step up and tell their teammates, hey, we have to be better. And Mike Brown also mentioned that part of that and the start of that is his 2 stars doing it themselves. Mike Brown mentioned last night De'Aaron had 1 rebound in that first half. It's really tough to tell your teammates, hey guys, we need to really pay attention and crash the glass when you yourself have 1 rebound. And we've seen Mike call out his players before this season, and it's worked really well, actually. He's called out Keegan a couple times this year. We've seen Keegan respond every time. Earlier this month, last month, he challenged Kevin Huerter and his guards to rebound more. For a while, they stepped up. And now there's a new challenge of, can his 2 star players hold the rest of their team accountable? Only time will tell. And it's again, this is another step in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis's development. They have to be leaders on the floor. And both of those guys, I think, are leaders in their own way. I think both are more leaders by example than verbal leaders. But nonetheless, this team needs, especially on defense, communication is key. And defense is their main problem. They got to step up. Mike Brown said it there. I mean, it's really plain and simple. They need to open their mouths. They need to communicate, because that's how defense works. And offensive rebounding, really, that's a really simple solution. You're taught it in elementary school growing up. Find man, then find ball. It's a really simple concept, and I know these guys know it. You just got to find a man first, box, and then you look for the ball. And they did not do that to Josh Hart last night, as Mike Brown kindly put it. Him and Isaiah Hartenstein really did. They owned the Kings last night, especially on the glass. I think Josh Hart had 8 offensive rebounds last night. Hart is a 6'5" shooting guard. And granted, that is Josh Hart's game. That is what he does. Josh Hart is a very surprisingly good rebounder, but he's not supposed to grab 8 offensive rebounds in a game. And again, that was really what was keeping the Knicks in the game for a majority of it. So it'll be interesting to see how the King Stars respond to Mike's challenge. A major part of this Chris and Company show is supposed to be the company that we're going to keep on this program. And finally, coming up, we will have guests. Frankie Cardicelli's joining me. I believe we're going to get a Deuce Mason appearance as well. All that and more coming up right here on Chris and Company on Sactown Sports 1140 and SactownSports.com.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on
Test 1 2 1 2. All right, I don't.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Wow. Technology.
Look at us.
Okay. There we go. Test.
Yeah, you sound great.
I hear you, Frankie. Talk. You son of a.
Hello.
Is Frankie's little voice better?
Oh, is
now?
the little voice
Is
better?
it better?
My voice is fine.
I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
I'm just
Total-
kidding. I'm
it was-
totally kidding.
It was a
I'm just
tough
kidding.
one. It was my mom's kind of going through it right now. So I was, wanting to make sure I'm in the clear, but I'm good.
Well, hopefully she feels better.
Yeah.
Mom's
Mom's
all right.
watching, I think. Love you, Mom. Let's see.
Sweet.
I'm waiting.
Okay, cool. We have Hunter Patterson on today at noon.
Oh, Hunter.
And Chris Biederman at 1.
Oh,
But most importantly,
whacked.
we have you guys first hour, right?
Yeah.
Kings Roundtable?
I ain't got
Yeah.
nowhere else to be.
I'll have to dip out like in Chris
Yeah,
fashion at 11:45, but yeah. I'm here.
Sweet.
Would you mind playing some sound real quick, Deuce?
Sure.
It's a good win. Our guys found a way to get the win.
Sounds great.
And Chris, do you have
we
the link?
on just YouTube? Is this
TV?
just YouTube?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Sorry.
This is just on YouTube right now?
Yeah.
Huge.
Fuck.
We getting 40 wins this year.
Okay. I was gonna play the KG thing, but I stopped myself.
I heard.
I heard
drop
the beginning.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I guess we're tested. Hey, never mind. I'll text you, Chris.
Okay. Wait, which one?
You.
Okay.
I don't. Christopher Laud. Okay. I guess we're good to go then. I'll see you
Okay.
guys in a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yep.
Celebrity appearance?
I know.
Are we live? Are we live on YouTube?
We're live online. Oh, we live,
Oh yeah,
baby.
Frankie's mom. Yeah, Frankie's mom's watching right now. She's at home. She's watching, resting
You
up.
guys want to keep talking with each other, or you want to go back to break?
How much longer is the break?
2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll just stay on. Why not?
There we go. Now I'll be able to. Thank you, Chris, for a lot. Thank you, sir. Now I can
Just
see you.
stop looking at it because you're not looking at the camera.
No, I'm looking. I haven't even opened it yet. I just got the email. Then I won't look at it. There we go.
Ooh, we're all up in here. What up, boy?
What's up, dude? How you feeling? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm chilling. It's just, yeah. I mean, you know how this goes.
I do. Like,
Frank, have you been watching? Go ahead. What's up?
No, is that an NBA Jam Kings hoodie?
Yeah, my dad got it for me the other day. I was just telling Jason and Dave that this is definitely took a couple weeks to get here, or a month, if you catch my drift.
Yes.
Yes.
What question did you have?
Have you been watching spring training at all? I saw your guy Jason Dominguez hit a
Yes.
dinger yesterday.
The Martian.
Spring training, is that like a Apple TV show or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's
like
new.
the morning show, but it's
Gotcha.
yeah.
Steve Carell's in it too.
Yeah.
No,
You're-
I the Kings have been so good. I haven't needed to like use the Yankees as
I
a
know.
distraction.
That's an
So
escape.
'cause now the Yankees are really going through injuries too. Like they're really hurt. There's like 5 guys that have gone down. Like Bader went down. Rodon, who just got signed for $1 billion, is hurt. So forearm tightness too, which always could lead to something awful. So could be Tommy John, could be nothing. We'll see. But no, the Kings have been good. So I haven't had really a reason to dive into that. So hopefully I don't have
That's
to till like
great.
May. I'd be fine not watching any Yankees baseball till May. Let's get to the second round.
Man, oh man. So like right now has the World Baseball Classic started? Because I saw that they're playing like MLB teams right now. But
The
also
what?
I saw the World Baseball Classic. I saw that they're playing like a bunch of like the international teams are playing
Yeah.
MLB teams right now.
Yeah, the Giants beat
All right, we're
USA.
taking that guy.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Sactown Sports.
I'm Christopher Laud with your Sactown Sports headlines. Sacramento Kings are now 2-0 on TNT after their 122-117 win over the New York Knicks last night. Domantas Sabonis recorded his 9th triple-double of the season with 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. For a breakdown of last night's game, check out Frankie Cardicelli on SactownSports.com. Kings are off tonight. They'll be back in action tomorrow when they face the Phoenix Suns. Suns will be without their forward Kevin Durant, who the team said will be reevaluated in 3 weeks with a sprained ankle. You can listen to tomorrow night's game right here on Sactown Sports. And now it's time for more of Chris and Company. And who's that company? Frankie, the Cowboy Cardicelli. That's next.
Sitting at your desk? Watch Chris and Company now. YouTube.com/Sactown Sports 1140.
Chris and Company on this wonderful Friday. That rejoiner makes me think. Everybody in the comments, put where you are currently watching on YouTube right now. I'm very curious where people are tuning in from right now. Are you in your home? Got the day off? Are you at your desk?
I mean, I used to watch a lot of shows on YouTube back when I had, a pre 1140 job. I'd watch a lot of YouTube. So, I mean, that job I had out in Roseville, I won't say where, I just would watch hours of YouTube. Do some I mean, everybody. I mean, just,
and what part of Sacramento are you from?
I'm from Yuba City, which is not really
I'm
part of
asking
Sacramento.
the viewers on YouTube.
Oh, you're asking me or not asking me?
I'm not asking you.
I thought you want to talk about Yuba City again and just talk trash
no,
about
I
it.
don't.
Okay.
No, YC's finest. Yeah. Let me know place in, not even, I guess it doesn't even have to be Sacramento. Place in the world where you are and where, I guess, factually you are watching.
Yes.
Anybody from South Sac out there?
Yes, anybody from South Sac. Big shout
South
out.
Sac.
By the way, the voice you're hearing, I know Chris introduced it in after his update, but Frankie Cardicelli is joining us now on Chris and Company, the first actual company that I have had on this show. Frankie, it had to be you. Thank you so much for joining the company, being our first official guest, my guy. Thank you.
It's an honor, dude. First of all, congratulations. I mean, if anyone out there doesn't know about Chris Watkins, this man has been here for 7-8 years.
9.
He started off working under tents at events, giving out movie tickets. This man has literally worked from the bottom. He's at the top. He has a show. I saw his face walking into Golden One Center on a video board yesterday. Almost brought a tear to my eye, but I'm so happy for you, man. I'm happy to be here with you. Happy that we get to, it's like I'm signing a yearbook, continue on this ride together.
I just write Hags, bro. Every time, just Hags.
Have a great summer.
Yep.
Some kid taped a penny in my yearbook one time, and I'll never understand who. It's something that I still have to this day. So maybe I'll tape a penny to your yearbook too, man. But I'm happy for you.
Yeah, maybe that'll be worth something one day, more than a penny one day.
Well, we talked about change enough last time I was on here, and I got dragged.
We actually talk about change a lot on this and Deuce and Mo's program. We talked about Frankie D's is what we're calling assists now, like Franklin D. Roosevelt's.
Okay.
Dime.
Okay.
I
like that. I like that. That's fun. I mean, again, I don't think change should exist, but I digress.
All right, let's get into basketball, please. You in the previous segment, I was talking about Mike Brown and how he was not thrilled with his team's performance last night. What did you think of the Kings' performance?
Started off really well. I mean, I think looking at the game last night, I was talking to our buddy Brendan Nunez about how, and it's funny. Brendan looked to me and was saying, I think it was early third quarter, this is the best the Kings have looked and how comfortable things have been. As soon as he said that, I think it was Obi Toppin dropped a 3 from the corner and it became like a 12-point game. And we just were like, never mind. And it was one of those instances of the Kings, they come out hot, they were aggressive. And one of the things I wrote in my preview yesterday was the Kings have had a knack of falling down early. And the last time they played the Knicks, they went down by 20 points in the first quarter. Julius Randle had 17 points in the first quarter. I really wanted to make sure the Kings didn't fall into that trap again. And we even saw it recently against a shorthanded Trailblazers team a week ago. If the Kings could have come out and set the tone early, maybe it could have controlled the pace of the game. And that's kind of exactly what we got. I mean, the Kings, they played very well early. The first half is actually what set the game apart because the second half, they shot around 40% from the field and the ball movement slowed down. The assists weren't coming as often as they were in the first half. I think they had 18 first half assists and they had 9 or 10 in the second half. So they really had their pace slowed down, and give credit to Tom Thibodeau and his defense. I mean, that's what the Knicks do. And every team that Tom Thibodeau coaches, they have good defense. So it had to be the first half. And, as bad as the defense was late in the game and how they were bothered by the physicality, which is what Mike Brown pointed out, the fact that, they were able to pull it out is important. That's what good teams do. They win ugly, and winning ugly, you're not going to complain about wins. And I think that's what Mike Brown was highlighting. He's not complaining about the fact they won. It's just how they won the game. And that isn't going to fly in the playoffs.
Yeah, you talk about the Kings defense, and really the talk for a lot of this year has been, especially recently, that it seems like this Kings defense gets better as the game goes on. And last night you mentioned it kind of was the opposite, where they start the game actually playing good defense, and it seemed like they were also doing a good job of controlling the glass for that first quarter until the Knicks kind of got into their comfort zone. Do you feel confident that this team can like step up in those big defensive moments when they need it the most?
They've done it before. Yeah, they've done it before. I mean, I think the game people go to a lot is the Cleveland game, and that's a. I mean, I don't want to short sight that at all. I mean, Cleveland's it's a damn good team. Like they're a very good team.
Yeah.
And the Kings done it a couple times this year, and I think Deuce brought it up last week or a week or two ago on the show how the Kings, their defensive rating at the time, they were top 10 in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure if they're still at that level, but that's why they were up until that point in the season, which, you know, here we are in March. So they can turn it on when they want to. It's just about, can they do that consistently over the span of a whole game? Yeah. And we've seen it only a handful of times. I mean, I'm looking at their recent game logs. I mean, I think they have allowed 120 on average, 120 plus points per game over the past, you know, almost the entire season. For what it's worth, they're allowing 118 points per game, which is 27th in the NBA. But it's been more bad than good lately. But of course, the Pelicans game was the one that you look at and you have some faith. And sure, they were severely shorthanded, but it is what it is at this point. The Kings have the personnel they have. No one's going to walk through that door. At least I don't think so. I mean, the Kings have seemed very quiet in the buyout market. I think the name that people were talking about a lot was Nerlens Noel. He went to Brooklyn. It's tough to imagine someone coming in and helping them out. I mean, could there be some rotation changes down the line? I liked what I saw from Kessler Edwards. I mean, that was one player in one instance, of course, but you saw what he did against Devin Booker. And of course, Booker a couple weeks ago, he torched the Kings, and Kessler Edwards was doing a good job of contesting. And then Anthony Edwards, I think Kessler did a good job of having to make them go through somebody else. Minnesota had to go through Mike Conley late down the stretch of that game. But it is what it is at this point. They've gone small with Trey Lyles at the 5. Chimezie Metu was basically unplayable late in the game yesterday. And I think that we could be seeing a lot more of Trey at the 5.
Yeah, you mentioned the Kings rotation, and it does feel like there's maybe a little bit of wiggle room for, like somebody like Kessler Edwards to potentially sneak in some minutes here down the stretch and maybe possibly get into a solidified role in this rotation, especially, you mentioned the fact that he was able to guard Devin Booker last time these two teams play. The Kings play Phoenix on Saturday. Should be interesting to see if Kessler can get some minutes there. I really hate doing this exercise, but if the postseason were to start now, who do you feel comfortable saying would be in the rotation right now?
Like your bench rotation?
Your bench rotation, yes.
Past
bench
1 through 5.
Specifically.
Davion Mitchell's going to play.
Right.
I mean, he's shown a little more lately, especially on the defensive end, and he's had some shots that have been falling a little bit. The aggressiveness is not there, but he's going to play. He's going to be the backup point guard, assuming that Fox is good to go. And then, of course, you have Malik Monk, who's been playing well last night, 17 points in the first half. He helped kind of change the tone there. Then it gets a little murky. I mean, Trey Lyles, absolutely. He's been, in my opinion, one of the most valuable bench players in the league this year. I think if Malik and other players in the league hadn't been doing what they've been doing, Trey Lyles would get some consideration or maybe a couple of votes here and there for 6th man of the year. He's been that valuable, in my opinion. Then after that, it could be interchangeable. I mean, Chimezie Metu, do you bring him off the bench? Playoff game 1? I mean, let's say the Kings are playing against the Golden State Warriors. I mean, maybe that's a team you could play them against. Right. They don't really have too much center depth. They have Kevon Looney, and I think Draymond Green technically plays 5-2 in spurts. And
right.
I think Anthony Lamb's been playing down low in the post. So maybe you could play him against a team like that. But there are some teams that I'd have concerns about. I mean, the Clippers, I wouldn't feel comfortable playing him at backup 5. It's just situations like that. And again, it could be matchup basis. If the Kings played Minnesota in the first round, maybe that's where you play Kessler Edwards off the bench. I mean, to go at Anthony Edwards and those guys. So, it just depends. I mean, I don't know if that's how you feel either. Do you think it's a matchup basis as far as who will play off the bench consistently?
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I think I actually completely agree with everything you just said. I think, Davion just has to play based off of the fact that he's really their only backup option at the point guard position. Malik is clearly going to get minutes. Trey is going to get minutes, whether or not that comes at the backup 4 or the backup 5. I think that's where the matchup dependency comes in. But I think more than likely, especially in the first round of the playoffs, you'll probably see Chimezie Metu get some time just to see if it's going to work, because it would be helpful if Mezzi could steal a couple minutes. But Kessler Edwards to me is the one that I think could legitimately sneak in to, definitely not a 20 minutes a game kind of role, but can he deserve some run off the bench and kind of, maybe get an initial stint out there and then kind of performance dependent on whether or not he kind of comes back in there. So that's kind of where I'm at with the rotation, but also I think that Mike Brown is going to use the remainder of the games left in this season to kind of shake all that kind of stuff out.
And Rashawn Holmes is on the bench real quick. He's on the bench. The Kings are struggling with rebounds last night. I wouldn't have hated to see him go out there and say, hey, go box out, go get a board. But I digress.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We have to take a break here. Coming up next, we're going to take an eye on the Western Conference and talk a little bit more with our guy, Frankie Cardicelli. You're listening to Chris and Company right here on Sactown Sports 1140 and SactownSports.com.
The only place you'll find Malik Monk is Sactown Sports.
Oh my, what an athletic move that time by Malik Monk.
Hey Sacramento, it's Malik Monk and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
For your everyday vehicle. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP oil filter for only $26.99. Do the complete job for the right price. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188. 800-364-9188.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Big savings are back at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Looking to own or lease? We have options for everyone. Plus, lower interest rates at Folsom Lake Honda make for lower payments. It's no wonder Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Folsom Lake Honda. Yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Thousands of years ago, ancient civilizations used leather for water skins, armor, and sandals. Hi, this is Franklin Rosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Today, leather is one of nature's most luxurious products. The combination of leather with beautifully designed furniture creates an end product that adds luxury and sophistication to any room. During Naturewood Home Furnishings leather sale, you'll find their considerable selection of leather is flexible, breathable, natural, and maybe most important, comfortable. Whether you're a relaxed contemporary kind of person or you're more classic leather, Naturewood Home Furnishings has color choices and styles to fit your home. In fact, I doubt any store can beat Naturewood's selection. During Naturewood's leather sale, all leather furniture is on sale for a limited time. Sit, enjoy the comfort of leather at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
ACR Solar and Home Services is here to help you, just like they helped me. Jason Ross here, and ACR did a great job for my family, bringing their impeccable reputation and great workmanship to keep my family covered with a brand new roof. Now we're comfortable and dry during Sacramento's rainy season, knowing our home's structural integrity is protected. Our value is increased, and the home itself, well, it's looking and functioning at its best. The proof, it's in our roof. Now, you could get this same quality experience with ACR Solar and Home Services. Just go to acrsolar.com now to sign up for a free estimate and see all that they have to offer, not only to protect your home and family during the cold and wet Sacramento weather, but also including premium made-in-the-USA solar electric systems. That's acrsolar.com. ACR Solar and Home Services is bringing us all the highest quality, highest value, and integrity since 1979. Go to acrsolar.com. That's acrsolar.com.
keeping you company with the company. It's Chris and Company with Chris Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Final segment here on Chris and Company on a Friday. Deuce and Mo joining at 11 o'clock. Had to wait for that drop. Shout out everybody in the comments who's put where they are watching from right now. We got Robert in Anaheim in his kitchen. We got Big John in South Sac. We got West Sac Kings fan, obviously, in West Sacramento watching from home. Got a couple South Sackers.
South
Got
Natomas.
Green Haven. Got Natomas. Got a Power in here. Rory, of course, says he's at Centerfold, so he's in Folsom. Not that I know where that
Roar,
is.
big
Not
Roar
that
dog.
Yeah, love that. We got somebody saying that they're on I-80 right now. So Martin G says he's in his cubicle. Love that.
Love that.
Love that we are just spreading this King's joy all throughout the land. Let's take a look at the Western Conference right now. We have our eye on the West to see how other teams in the Western Conference are competing for the standings against your Sacramento.
Where are the Kings in the standings?
Sometimes a team which no one expects to finish near the top of the standings does finish that way. And fans are not only surprised, they want to know why.
Who's moving up? Who's falling down? And who should embrace the tank? It's Eye on the West with Chris and Company.
Only 4 Western Conference teams, 5 played last night. Rockets, Jazz, Warriors, Grizzlies, and Kings. Jazz got the win over the Orlando Magic. Doesn't really do too much for the playoff race. But that Grizzlies-Warriors game would have been nice if Golden State could turn their road woes around last night. Would have given the Kings a nice little, secure lead for that number 2 spot. But as it stands right now, Memphis Grizzlies won last night. Them and the Sacramento Kings are still tied for that number 2 spot in the West. Golden State now falls to number 6. They're in a 3-way tie right now for that number 6 spot. Things can go any way right there. The Kings obviously need to take real interest at the moment in that potential playoff play-in game, because whoever wins that 7-8 matchup is who the Kings would play in the first round. So, Frank, I ask you right now, of those 3 teams, of Golden State, of Dallas, and of Minnesota, who do you want to see in the playoffs of those 3 teams?
And that's one of the reasons why I think Memphis beating the Warriors wasn't the worst thing last night, because the Kings need to focus on just guaranteeing a 7-game series first and foremost. And because of Golden State's loss last night, the Kings are now a full 6 games ahead of them in standing, which is huge in my opinion. 6-game cushion between themselves and the play-in territory. Looking at the standings, I mean, the Kings get to see Minnesota one more time, and we don't know if Karl-Anthony Towns is going to come back this season. There hasn't been really any updates on his status.
I'd say probably not at this point, right? Because he's missed so much time, and he would have to come back and kind of get into shape.
It would take a lot, and I just don't think they're going to push him this late in the season. So I'm still in the Minnesota-Dallas camp. Like, I would like to see Minnesota or Dallas. I live with either one. I got to be honest, the Golden State Warriors come playoff time, if they get Andrew Wiggins back, we don't know what's going on with him and his personal off-the-court issue, but I just don't know if I want the Kings to be responsible for maybe putting an end to the Warriors. I don't want to say dynasty, but I mean, it'd be a great story.
Yeah.
And if it happens, I'll get pumped up for it, and I'll say, let's go. Let's have the Kings, bring this thing to an end, shut it down. But I'd rather see a team that's a little more unproven in Minnesota and Dallas, because the Kings, whether we like it or not, they are unproven, and they have some things they got to cross off the list before they get that respect. But, I don't think there's any team I would look at and say, oh, man, I really don't want to play them. I think the Kings are good enough to hang with or beat anybody. I really think that. I really believe that. Yeah. And I just think that right now, focusing on getting a top 6 spot, Kings are in a good position to do that. And that's what I care about the most.
Yeah, no, I agree. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and Phoenix was really the only team that I would say I have a really tough time seeing the Kings potentially pulling out 4 wins. But with the Kevin Durant injury, I think that you could definitely see a world where the Kings could potentially beat the Suns. So I completely agree. I don't really think that there's anybody that the Kings couldn't take on, but I also we're spending too much time together clearly, because I completely agree with you on the Warriors front, where it's like I don't think I definitely have confidence that the Kings could beat the Warriors, and I agree where it would be a fantastic story and thing to hold over those fans that we ended their era, but I would just rather have somebody else do it, just let somebody else take out the garbage for us. And, we'll that sounded kind of rude, but honestly, I would just rather have somebody else take care of our dirty work for us. And, it's not, again, that I don't have faith. It's just when you go to that experience thing, that's kind of, it makes me a little bit nervous.
Chris, also, if the playoffs were to start today, do you know who would play in the first round? The Grizzlies and the Warriors would play in the first round if the Warriors started today. And as a basketball fan, I want that. Give me Warriors Grizzlies again, because like this, they meet again in a week. I think next Saturday they play again. But clearly, this thing needs to continue. There needs to be a culmination of something. Like there's going to be an explosion at some point. Like I don't know if there's going to be a brawl or if it's just going to be isolated and be Draymond Brooks, but this has to continue. I mean, if there are script writers, like people, I can't remember who was saying they're script writers. Who was that?
That was oh my gosh, that was so crazy. I can't remember who it was, but it was an NFL player. It was it Arian Foster?
It was Arian Foster. It was Arian Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have RG3 saying me when I read the script for the 2012 season. No, if there's a script writer, you gotta put that at the end game here. So
that would be incredible.
I guess you're right. I mean, the only way the Kings would really play the Suns in a 7-game series off the bat would be if the Suns were to fall. The Kings or the Suns were to fall to 6, and one of those teams finishes at 2 or 3.
But as it stands right now, they would play in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
No, they wouldn't. They would play in. No, they wouldn't actually.
They wouldn't.
Because the Grizzlies are the 3 seed. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
For the time being.
It's gonna be interesting to see, man. I mean, it'd be really nice if the Kings could really. I mean, Saturday would be one that would really make you feel good about things. That the Kings can beat the Suns without KD. They have not been able to do that this season. They played hard last time these teams met. The Kings played hard. They went to the fourth quarter down by 3. Devin Booker, he did what Devin Booker does best. I think he had 34 points that night. So, that's gonna be tough to overcome. But if the Kings are up to the challenge, I feel a lot better about that aspect, because we know KD. We never know with him. You just never know. You can't bank on him being a full go come day one in the playoffs. You can't. So the next couple of weeks, that's going to be their thing they have to sort out. But Kings at the control, they can control.
Absolutely.
Win games, keep moving forward. And I mean, if they've played 500 basketball the rest of the way, I mean, I think that 2-3 spot is pretty safe in my opinion.
There for the taking, yeah.
I think it's there for the taking. I mean, Memphis played well last night, but we don't know what's going to happen with John Morant. I mean, talking with everybody last night at the game, on Media Row, everyone's just convinced he's coming back by next 4 or 5 games. So I guess it's all as long as it takes to learn a lesson like that. It just takes 2 weeks and you're good to go. So
yeah,
I mean, about life.
It'll be interesting, and the Kings will get a test tomorrow. They play the Phoenix Suns, and I don't think anybody should take the Phoenix Suns lightly. Just because Kevin Durant's not playing does not mean this team is not dangerous. Look at what they just did to Oklahoma City. In that game that Kevin Durant was supposed to play, they were able to keep their heads about them and still pull out a 30-point win. So it will not be easy tomorrow for the Sacramento Kings, but I am looking forward to it. Frank, that is all that we have today. Thank you so much for keeping me company and
thank you for having me
today on Chris and Company. That's going to be it for today's show. That's going to be it for the first week of this program. It's been a blast, y'all. I cannot wait to continue to do this and bring y'all the best in Kings coverage. For Frankie Cardicelli, my name is Chris Watkins. Shout out Christopher Lott on the other side of the glass, keeping things going. Next is Deuce and Mo.
We'll see you over there
on Sactown Sports 1140 and SactownSports.com.
Sactown Sports is your new home for the San Francisco